George Romero didn't just invent the modern zombie, he redefined horror itself. Across decades, his films blended scares with sharp social commentary. And while the zombies made him famous, his legacy goes far beyond. Here are 7 essential Romero films every horror fan should know. This is the film that redefined horror and invented the modern zombie. Flesh-eating, slow, and unstoppable. But Romero did more than scare us. He turned horror into a mirror, reflecting race, fear, and social collapse. With a black lead in 1968 and an ending that still sparks debate, this wasn't just a monster movie, it was a revolution. The story begins in a graveyard. A young woman is attacked by a stranger and flees to an empty farmhouse. Soon others arrive, and together they try to survive the night as more of the undead close in. But the real threat isn't just outside. Romero used horror to say something deeper. His zombies weren't just ghouls. They were a backdrop for human failure. His characters clash, break down, and make mistakes. And then comes the ending. Quiet, grim, and unforgettable. Romero doesn't offer comfort or easy answers. What stays with you isn't just the horror, but the way people respond to fear, power, and each other. Released during the Vietnam War, The Crazies is one of Romero's most overtly political films. It's not just about infection, it's about control, fear, and how quickly a system can turn on its own people. Soldiers in hazmat suits, forced removals, and flamethrowers in the streets echo real-world unrest. The story may feel familiar. A small town, a sudden threat, and a group of ordinary people trying to survive. Like Night of the Living Dead, the true danger isn't just what's out there, it's what fear and pressure do to the people inside. After a bioweapon leaks into the water supply, some victims die, others go insane. But unlike zombies, the infected don't look any different. Paranoia builds. No one knows who to trust. Survivors end up caught between the infected and the military, hunted from both sides. Romero doesn't rely on gore here. He uses confusion, helplessness, and slow collapse. The Crazies is less about monsters and more about the damage done by those who claim to protect us. Is he a vampire or just deeply disturbed? That's the question Romero never fully answers. And that's what makes Martin one of his most haunting films. There are no capes, no fangs, no garlic, just a lonely young man who believes he needs to drink blood to survive. We meet Martin on a train, quietly stalking a woman. He doesn't bite. He uses a razor blade. His violence is cold, methodical, and painfully human. He moves in with his strict, religious cousin, who's convinced Martin is a vampire and treats him like a monster. But maybe the real damage comes from that belief itself. Romero gives us a character study wrapped in horror. Martin's fantasy life blurs with reality. He sees himself in black and white daydreams, like he's living in an old vampire film. But the world around him is grim and ordinary. There's no magic, just confusion, repression, and growing violence. By the time Dawn of the Dead opens, the zombie apocalypse is in full swing. Panic spreads. The living are just as dangerous as the dead. 2 SWAT team members have seen enough. They flee the chaos with a news helicopter and 2 friends. Looking for safety, they find an abandoned shopping mall. At first, it's perfect. Shelter, supplies, security. They clean it out, fortify it, and for a while live like kings. But as time passes, comfort turns into confinement. Surrounded by things they once dreamed of owning, they begin to feel trapped. Isolated not just by the zombies outside, but by their own emptiness. Romero balances chaos and silence, horror and satire. The zombies here aren't just monsters. They're us, mindless, drawn to the mall out of habit. The survivors shop, eat, decorate, but none of it means anything anymore. And when a biker gang crashes the illusion, everything falls apart. Romero's message is clear but never preachy. Consumerism numbs us, routine weakens us, and no wall, no matter how high, can keep the real world out forever. The characters feel real, flawed, and human, and their slow unraveling makes the film hit harder than any jump scare. Both brutal and strangely funny, Dawn of the Dead is Romero at his sharpest, mixing social commentary with survival horror and proving that zombies aren't the only ones just going through the motions. To outsiders, they're just medieval reenactors on motorcycles. But for the people inside, the Night Riders are a way of life. Led by Billy, or King William, the group follows a strict code of honor. He takes his role seriously, maybe too seriously. Romero trades the undead for a modern-day Arthurian legend, but the themes remain: loyalty, power, rebellion, and the struggle to hold on to ideals in a changing world. The drama plays out like a wandering soap opera, grounded by strong performances and a surprising emotional core. There are no zombies here, but everything else that defines Romero is present: conflicted characters, broken systems, a society that rejects what it doesn't understand. Night Riders is strange, warm, and quietly tragic. A rare, personal film that shows what Romero could do outside of horror. 5 Tales, one comic book, endless horror. Creepshow is a playful, gruesome collaboration between George Romero and Stephen King, a love letter to old EC horror comics where the guilty always get what they deserve, and sometimes so do the innocent. Romero brings these stories to life with bold visuals, comic panel transitions, vivid color filters, and wild effects. It's campy, creepy, and surprisingly funny. And unlike most anthologies, every story lands. There are no safe characters, only satisfying punishments, strange justice, and just enough heart to make the horror sting. Creepshow doesn't just feel like a comic, it moves like one, and it still bites. There are no zombies in Monkey Shines, but it's still pure Romero. Instead of the undead, the horror comes from within, the mind, the body, and a bond pushed too far. After a devastating accident, Alan is left paralyzed and hopeless. A friend brings him Ella, a lab monkey injected with human brain cells. She helps him eat, move, live again. The two form a deep, emotional connection. But soon Ella becomes possessive and dangerous. As Alan starts to sense what she's doing, maybe even dreaming through her eyes, the line between man and animal, control and instinct begins to blur. Romero turns physical disability into psychological horror, trapping his protagonist not in a house, but in his own body.